Hi, I'd like to talk to you about assessment and evaluation in our program. And I'm going to focus on three areas: the teacher responsibility, student responsibility, and specifically grades. So, above all, in our program, we want to provide the best quality learning experience possible. And so that's not just on the teacher, but the teacher does at least start organizing that experience. And so we're focusing on making sure that the environment is really ripe for excellent, deep learning. Okay, so that's our main focus in all of this assessment and evaluation. And it is the responsibility of the teacher with the students at times to establish clear learning goals and then to provide high quality assessment. We often provide choice in that assessment to demonstrate and achieve the learning goals. So that is our specific goal in the program, is to provide you with the best quality assessment possible. Now, you should understand that at a university, the teacher, the instructor, has the final say on grades. So they determine those grades. Now, student responsibility. Well, when things aren't clear, as they might not be, we try to be clear as instructors, but it's not always the case. Students have a responsibility to ask questions and seek clarification. And that's critical. And in a master's program, we expect students to take a lot more responsibility. A good number of our students come from K to 12. They're teachers or principals, administrators. And when assessment is done for students at a lower grade, a lot more criteria and details are provided, more scaffolding is provided because students need that guidance initially to focus them on the learning goals. Now, we want to be clear in our expectations and assignments at the master's level, but we do expect students to take a lot more responsibility. This is a master's program. It's a very high level of education. It's the second highest level of education offered in Canada. Well, North America. Well, probably in the world. You have masters and then you have a PhD. So we expect students, a lot from our students, to seek clarification if they don't understand. And students also should expect that there's not going to be a step-by-step guide provided by the teachers on every aspect that is expected for an assignment. It's not the same as a K to 12 assignment. This is a master's level of assignment. You will be given criteria to achieve your goals, and if you don't understand those criteria, you have to seek clarification. And combined with this, we expect students to take responsibility for learning. So, for example, if a student is told that there is APA format required, then the student may or may not be given some guidelines, but probably will be given links to APA guidelines, but the student is expected to learn those guidelines. They will not be taught step by step how to use those guidelines. APA formatting is a requirement, but it is not necessarily something that is taught step by step, as it might be for younger students. That's just an example. So students take responsibility for their learning. And students also take responsibility by giving feedback to the program. So when I ask, here's a pitch for surveys. When I ask how things are going, it's important for students to provide that feedback so we can understand what is happening in the classroom. And it is the responsibility of the instructor also to seek that feedback as the course is progressing so that changes can be made. So that's sort of the dynamics. Now, what folks might be worried about is grades. We have students who are, some students are very conscious of grades and want to excel, and there's nothing wrong with that. Uh, but I want to give you the parameters here. In a graduate program, the range of grades for pass is B minus to A plus. Anything lower than a B minus is not a pass. So that's the range. It's a relatively narrow range. Now, it's also important to understand that the average undergraduate grade for our current students is a B. So when students apply to this program, if I look at all the grades over the past 3 to 4 years, the average entrance is a B. So we wouldn't expect our students all of a sudden to shoot up to A and A plus in their performance. That would be unusual. If the undergraduate grade is a B, there may be reasons why it's a B, maybe not taking things as seriously or whatever, so we might expect a bit of a rise, but we certainly wouldn't expect our students to be all of a sudden getting A's and A pluses. That would look rather unusual, particularly when we're being evaluated externally and accredited as a program. And we have to consider that. So it's not like the Bachelor of Education where average grades rise to A minus, A plus. In our program, and there's no set goal, but we would say that a B plus or an A minus is a pretty solid grade, given that the average undergraduate grade is a B. B plus and A minus would be very solid. So, while everyone desires an A and A plus, in fact, the B minus and the A plus should be rare grades. You wouldn't expect to see more than a couple of those in a particular class. That would be fairly rare. What you're more likely to see is A minus, and then which is sort of dead center. A's, a certain number of A's, and a certain number of B pluses. So there's going to be the full range. It is important, though, once we get caught up in grades, to come back to the learning experience and high quality assessment. Above all, we want to make sure, as I said before, that we provide the best quality education possible. We seek your feedback on a regular term-by-term basis and during the term, and we make adjustments. And that's the point where you want to actually give feedback and try to address problems as they arise. And it is really important, and I'll just end this, for you to establish that connection with your teacher to work out any differences or concerns or areas that you are unclear on or feel that weren't clear. And we have worked these out in the past, and we continue to work them out. They will inevitably come up, but that's sort of what our expectations are in the program, is that students and teachers work these issues out. The director can come into play and will definitely if there is some disagreement that can't be resolved. Okay, so that's a summary of assessment and evaluation as it stands at UOIT in our Masters and Masters of Education program.